Welcome to all the Web3 enthusiasts. This is Max speaking, and this is the new exciting episode of Synopsis. Today I'm hosting this one with Daniel James, CEO of Dmail and CEO of SubHub. So, hello, Daniel. How are you today?
Hi, Max. Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah,
Thank
likewise. And we're going to have a pretty interesting discussion, which involves questions about both of your projects, kind of a mixed, but I think it will be easy to follow for everyone and also insightful. So let's get straight to the action because there is more than 10 questions prepared for today, and who knows how long we'll stay here. So, and of course, to warm up, let's start with you. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us how you ended up building not even one, but two of the most active platforms in Web3 communication, Dmail and SubHub?
Yeah, so my story is quite an interesting one. My background isn't in tech, and I always tell people when they ask me, how did you get into blockchain? It's not a question of me getting into blockchain. Blockchain found me. So I mentioned to Max earlier, before the interview was recorded, that essentially I moved to South Korea in 2008. It was during the global financial crisis. I was fresh out of university, and the employment opportunities in the UK at that time were few and far between. So I decided, okay, I'll go to South Korea, teach for a year, and then return to the UK. That didn't happen. I'm still out in South Korea now. Life happens, and but no regrets. It's been great. But my original vocation was I did my bachelor's master's degree in English studies, and so pretty non-traditional for tech, for getting into the tech environment. But I think that tech has a lot of engineers, people who are super smart, but not enough storytellers. And I think that's really where my involvement came in. So I got involved first of all with some marketing. For I was working within the Definity community, which is related to ICP. And as I built out a bit of a network, I became CMO for a project in London that we're building an EVM layer 2. And after about a year, I was getting involved with some investments. And actually, I invested in Dmail Network, because they won the Wanjiang hackathon in 2021, which is a big hackathon based out of China. And I thought, wow, this is a project which, I like the vision, I like where to go in here. So I was an angel investor, and all of this is public knowledge. It's all searchable. You'll see that I was one of the very first angel investors. Um, anyway, I connected with the team and got to know them very well. Loved the vision, as I mentioned. And ultimately, they needed someone to tell their story, and to build that narrative about what our company is trying to do. Whereas, for example, with Gmail, uh, essentially you are the product, your data is being farmed and sold, and that's why Gmail is free. I fell in love with the vision of a more equitable and distributed economy that tokenization in Web3 allows. And I decided that I could do my very best to tell that story as an investor, as somebody who believes in the project. And here I am a few years later. And yeah, you're right, Max. We are about to launch our SubHub token in the TGE at the end of Q3. And SubHub is also I think it's a top 10 project for unique active wallets. I think it's around 3 million MAU, and Dmail also is a top 15. So I think the storytelling that we've been doing, the product that we've built out, has worked. We have a very powerful user acquisition model for both projects. And yeah, I'm very proud of the team and what we've accomplished during that time.
Wow, awesome. Thanks for the great intro and also mentioning SubHub in numbers. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the numbers behind that are even greater, but we will speak about a bit later for sure. And a very interesting point you mentioned in the background, like besides the blockchain found you, is being an angel investor in the project you are currently CEO at. So I would say there is no better proof of believing in project than this kind of moves, like investing and then onboarding and keep building. So sounds really great. And let's continue with Dmail actually. So for listeners who might be hearing about Dmail for the first time, if there are some of them, how would you describe what it is and why the world needs a Web3 alternative to Gmail?
Yeah, sure. I've written several articles sort of outlining the differences between Gmail and Dmail. And the first thing I'd like to say is that ultimately they're not competitors. We are not competing with Gmail. I think that would be a bit of a fool's errand. Gmail has billions of users. It's a different value proposition altogether. It's a Web 2 project. We're a Web 3. But in terms of the basic functionality, what I would say about Gmail is it's been highly successful in terms of the UI and the UX. So we're aware of that. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We understand that people want intuitive platforms, easy to use platforms, and that's not really where Gmail is aiming to compete with Web 2 even. And we are not competing with Gmail. Actually, we have account abstractions so that you can log into email through your Gmail account. We believe that there's a fusion of Web 2 and Web 3, at least in a crossover phase where we need to get more users. The majority of users that we are going to get as we scale are going to come from Web 2, not from Web 3. Even though Gmail is a multi-chain project on 39 chains, and even though we are a top 15 project for user acquisition, we're still looking at a 2 million monthly active user base, which is large, but it's not scaling to the billions like Gmail, right? So what I would say though is that what I've always thought about this vision is if you can replicate the functionality of your Gmail, your Web 2 Gmail, so you're able to send and receive mail. You have your workstation, you have connection to Calendly and third-party apps, and your Drive. But you upgrade in certain areas. Maybe your Drive is decentralized. Maybe, for example, there's Web 3 functionality, which of course there already is in Dmail. Instead of being the product as you are in Gmail, as I mentioned, you own your own data in Gmail. It's fully decentralized. We saw recently about the password hack for Gmail, millions of accounts compromised, and Gmail that it's impossible because you have wallet login. So there's additional security, there's encryption. But for me, the main value prop for Dmail is tokenization. I think that in Web 3, you have token rewards. I think that as they say, cash is king. In Web 2, there is no distributed economy. All of the flow of cash is into the hands of the very few. Whereas in Web 3, I think that there's a more valuable ethos where it's called an attention economy, where users can basically monetize the time that they spend on the platform. And already there are multiple ways that users can do that on Gmail. And I think that as SubHub and Dmail converge into what we are building as a multifaceted marketing apparatus and an infra for Web 3, I think that this value proposition is going to come more to the fore, and people will realize exactly what we're doing. Dmail is more the user-facing end. and SubHub is more for marketers and Web3 projects that want to connect to that user base through a subscription hub. This connection is directly through wallets and DIDs, and we're going to have tokenization on the platform by the end of the quarter. What that means is that as a user, I'll be able to essentially read mail from projects that I'm interested in and follow and subscribe to, and I'll be able to get paid token rewards for that. Why, you might ask, well, why would a project pay for this attention? Well, in Web2, you're going to pay around $199 a month for up to 10,000 subscribers on certain platforms. I won't mention them, but there are certain platforms that Web2 newsletters. The opening rate is if you're lucky 20-25%. I was an editor-in-chief in the past, so I know that trying to get these higher opening rates is not easy. But you know, with tokenization, we believe that that attention economy can be monetized and that you can boost those opening rates through tokenized incentives. So I think that that's a huge value proposition for Web3. I also know that on-chain activity, wallet activity, and here's where AI can come in because we are part of the AI vertical. AI can analyze the user behavior. It can segment and profile users' activity, and you have a far more you have a far better way not only to connect with users directly, because let's be honest, the best way we have right now Web3 is through maybe X, which is algorithm based. It's not direct to wallets. It's not utilizing Web3 infrastructure. Maybe Discord, maybe Telegram, but again, it's not personalized. It's not direct to your inbox. So finally, we have a way to connect across, you know, the entire blockchain space within wallets, DIDs. And I think this is incredibly valuable. And if you can utilize the data that people are, you know, the user activity, and you can segment that data, it's also going to reduce churn, and it's going to improve your focus on who you are rewarding for their attention as well. So it completely reduces waste as well, compared to, as I say, paying $200 a month for you know, a newsletter where up to 10,000 users and maybe only 25% open rate. So you're paying $200 a month to send a newsletter to maybe 2,500 people who open it, and how many of them are actually you know, fully engaged with it is anyone's guess. But I think that again, it's not only about the opening rates, but it's the attention of what's within the mail itself. And I think that you can embed campaigns, you can get creative. If you have a tokenization on the platform, maybe one in every so many emails that you send out could have value within it. So everybody is going to check, everybody's going to read through the marketing mails so that they don't miss out. This is just one area, for example, that I think is you know, is going to be very exciting as a user because your attention is being rewarded. But I think it's better for projects as well. And one last thing I'll say about this is that I think the fact that, you know, with the company that I was talking about, they have an upper limit of 10,000 subscribers before you have to call them and you have to get a personalized plan. So it's $200 up to 10,000 users. This is not to mention projects that or companies that are not Web3 friendly, that deplatform Web3 companies. It's happened. So I think, you know, this is 10,000 subscribers is very small compared to what you're able to get. We have more than 100 projects with more than 50,000 subscribers, and more than 50 projects with 100,000 subscribers, some as many as 500,000. This is unheard of in Web2. So we know that it's working, we know that it's scaling, and we already have 550 projects onboarded to SubHub as well. So we know that there's value there.
Well, awesome. And Thanks for the super detailed answer. I believe that we just covered the major part of the FAQ paper. So, but still, if someone of our viewers will still have questions after all, after this interview, even after this question, so guys, feel free to drop it in the comment section. And we are moving on. So, SubHub has been mentioned multiple times already, but not yet introduced. So let's change the situation and speak a little bit about it. So actually, SubHub is seems to take a very different angle from Dmail, and it's focused more on Web3 marketing than messaging. What exactly is SubHub, Daniel, and how did it grow into one of the top 10 platforms in the space with over 4 million monthly active users, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, you're not. So there are two halves of what I would describe as a whole. One is CN focused, and that's email. It's user focused. Whereas SubHub is catering to businesses and marketers and giving them the chance to connect with that user base. So yeah, I think that's really the difference. But um, Dmail has been successful as a separate entity on its own. But I think what we realized was that there was a need for projects. There was a niche area here where marketing is going to be Web3 marketing is going to be a $45 billion industry by 2032. Okay, and I think it was just 3 or 4 years ago it was a $1.3 billion industry. So you can see that there's an exponential growth curve here. And we know that from the macro environment, the recent legislation going through in the US, that Web3 is only going to grow and it's only going to get stronger. So if you believe that there is a way forward for marketing using Web3 infrastructure, then Dmail and SubHub are, essentially they're cornering the market and they're leading the push here. And I say this in terms of all objective measures, in terms of the user base that both have. But for Dmail, the 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 statistics on that radar is based on the user activity is based on the sending of emails on chain or messages on chain on different chains. There's 38 different chains that have been integrated, 39 now actually, and last week we integrated another one. And this on-chain activity makes us very popular with L1s and L2s. They love the transaction volume. They love the user base that we drive to them. So we have some great relationships with L1s and L2s. But for SubHub, it's a little bit different. What SubHub does is it records volume when the user reads the mail that the project is sending out. So we've had more than 10 million messages already sent out, so that's a lot of volume since October 2024. SubHub is a little bit more of it's a younger project than Dmail, but I think that it benefits from the base that Dmail has built out, and in some ways it's surpassing that base in terms of the on-chain activity and user base. So, all of this is publicly verifiable on that radar. Anyone can look at that radar and see the last 30 days activity, or 7 days, or even day if they want, and they can see that Dmail and SubHub are top 15 projects, and so it's that's very meaningful. Uh, you know, of course, user acquisition is something that's very important. We've seen it with projects like Pump.Fun, for example, that recently had their raise and went public. And I think you can see it in the valuation of these projects. So yeah, SubHub is a way to, in a nutshell, it's a way for projects to connect with users and to directly through wallets and DIDs to reduce their costs, their churn, and to incentivize opening rates um, in an attention-based economy, which works out a lot cheaper than any Web2 tools, I believe, and also stays fully within the ethos of Web3.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for the great intro. And what we hear today are the great numbers, statistics, and you've got Dmail in the top 15 globally with 2 million monthly active users. SubHub is rising even faster. So next question is a little bit about the success recipe. So because that kind of traction we are discussing is rare, and could you tell us what's driving adoption across both of the projects?
I think for Dmail, it's been down to the fact that we've been we're a pretty mature project since 2021. Um, but there's a huge advantage in being as multi-chain as we are. It's all about gateways. It's all about expansion of networks. They call it network effect for a reason. And we are on 39 chains now. We build out relationships with those chains. We work within those chains within the infrastructure. We build alliances with other projects within the chains. So we are always open to partnerships. We are always open to expansion. We are not tribal. We believe that Web3 is still a relatively a small pie. Again, using the analogy of Dmail compared to Gmail. Gmail has billions of users. Dmail has 2 million. So we understand there's a long way to go, but when you're armed with the value proposition that we have and the self-belief that we have, that we can build something that can be more um, of maybe a different value to Gmail, but not necessarily. uh, I think in some ways, the it has a better value proposition because, like I said, I think we've used things like Facebook, we've used things like Gmail with the knowledge that it's a trade-off, right? It's like, okay, I know these guys are selling my data, and I'm going to be inundated with unsolicited, advertisements and so on. We've all used social media in the past, and then 10 minutes later, we have some advert on our phone, and we think, goodness, I was just talking about that, or I was just messaging about that. And it's almost like there's a surveillance element to it, and it's a little bit creepy. And all of us have experienced it, and that's due to your data being sold and being the product. Like I said, with Gmail, or whether it's Gmail or Facebook or whatever, there's a knowledge with people that we are essentially giving up our right to privacy in many respects. And I think that that's something that Web3 was born out of. Early adopters, that the purists, the idealists, that we don't really want that. And a lot of people are happy to use social media platforms. And this is a trade-off, right? It's like, okay, well, it's free. And okay, they're going to use my data, but that's fine because I'm getting use of a platform. And I think it's a trade-off that most of us made in the past. But at the same time, I think that that's only because there's no alternatives. So if there is no, if you do own your own data, and if you can monetize your time on a platform, um, as you already can through Gmail, and are about to be able to do exponentially as SubHub tokenizes this platform. I think that this is going to be something that's extremely valuable moving forward. And I guess that's what I would say is that, you know, we've built two of the top 15 projects, sure, but this is without the full vision being realized. And the vision is coming very quickly. When the tokenization of the platform is complete and you have the full functionality of being able to the revenue streams are set up where the user can, uh, as I say, monetize their attention essentially, and connect with mails that are sent by projects and get paid for it. Well, I think that we stand to grow exponentially from there. Um, I know that Dmail hit over 50 million addresses. Um, and I remember, I think it was as recent as August of last year was when we hit the first 1 million wallet address. So it you can tell that it's really sort of building out and exploding. And as I say, this is almost surprising to me in the sense that it's before the full vision is realized. So it's very exciting where we go from here, and I think we scale very quickly from this point.
Also, so thanks for sharing, and everything sounds reasonable, especially the facts about trade-offs of traditional services and about alternatives we have. So yeah, so all reasonable. Thank you. And one more great thing to hear is that you are mostly about cooperation instead of competition. So of course, competition is in some ways great and it helps to grow, but within the small industry we have right now, it's always a pleasure to hear about this. So
Mhm.
great. And yeah, so let's talk a bit about the user experience. Could you tell us what does the typical journey look like on Dmail and SubHub, both from user's perspective and from a project's perspective?
Yeah, so first I'll talk about Dmail in terms of the user perspective, because it's mostly geared towards your general blockchain user. And there are multiple. If you go to dmail.ai, you'll see the dApp itself, and then there are multiple. You can launch Dmail, and then you have your login window. Now, I've mentioned already that we believe that creating as many gateways as necessary into Dmail is a good way to break down barriers that perhaps would be there if it was only based on Ethereum or only based on Solana. So for us, we have created these gateways where yes, EVM wallets, the main EVM wallets are accounted for, but also other chain gateways. We have account abstraction for Gmail. We also have account abstraction for Telegram, powered by Particle Network. So we partnered with them to make it easier to access Gmail. And I think uh, part of as I said earlier, what I think has been successful about Gmail is that we have made it easy for users. I mentioned that UI and UX in Web 2 is not broken. It's very very strong, and it's been honed over a generation. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So we haven't. We've made it as intuitive as possible. But I think with that's a big difference already. You're signing in through your wallet into Gmail. So you have something which can support assets, something which is tied to your identity, doesn't need a password, because we talked about the password hacks for Gmail. So altogether, it's more secure already than just a password-based account. So I would say that that's part of the user journey that's different immediately, is that you were using a wallet to sign into something rather than just a password-based situation. Um, and then once you're within the Dmail platform, you can notice that there are things like a marketplace, an NFT marketplace. So when you sign up to Dmail, you have a Web3 email address, which is based on if you sign in through Ethereum, for example, an EVM network, it's going to be an OX wallet address, right? And you can then personalize it. You can make it max at dmail.ai. It's probably taken max. I hate to say it, but these domains have been very popular. We've sold millions of them, minted millions of them. So there's a marketplace that we launched only I guess last month, which is already seeing some good volume, where people are trading these domains because you can bind the domain to your. It's basically an NFT. It doubles as an NFT, so you can bind that to your account, or you can unbind it and then put it on the marketplace and sell it and trade it. So that's going on within Dmail. So that in itself, I mean, that's a huge difference to a fixed identity that you have with Gmail. That it's not an asset. These are basically tradable assets. These are NFTs that are linked to your account. So that's very different. We have an earn section where partners are airdropping tokens in order to. I think you have platforms like Galaxy or Tascon, which are very popular. And I think with respect, Dmail has a larger user base, and I think Dmail is not a saturated platform. We have just one or two projects at a time, and instead of having to complete multiple tasks, like 15, 20 tasks in order to try to get some token reward, we say to the project, what is your main KPI? What do you want to boost? What is most important to you? It could be wallet activations, it could be anything. And once we find that out, we create the user journey, and the project gives some airdrop. They're usually pre-TG projects, so they airdrop some of the tokens, and then our users get value from that because we don't actually charge projects for that. It's just about retention for us. We want to give value to our users, and then our users can access partner airdrops as well. So that's something that's very different. You can't do obviously in your Gmail account, right? So these are just some of the examples. We have auto forwarding I mentioned about this, the the recognition that we have to merge Web 2 and Web 3. It's not, it is, I don't think it's a case that Web 3 suddenly comes along and just basically it's one or the other. I think that there has to be some synergy, and eventually, hopefully, the value proposition of Web 3 can win out and can make Web 2 more obsolete. But until then, the gateways and the cooperation between Web 2 and Web 3, kind of 2.5, if you like, has to be baked in. And I think that we offer auto forwarding to Gmail and to Telegram. If you prefer your messages, your subscription mail to go to your Telegram, I've got a bot that I've pinned. I can just access the mail directly through a Telegram bot. It's very useful and very simple rather than having to sign in to Gmail every time to check my mail through the wallet. So these are just some pretty cool functionality that Dmail has. And for SubHub is, as I say, I think SubHub it's something that connects to wallets and DIDs. It's a direct connection to these identities, these Web3 identities. And we've just implemented RSS feeds. So with Medium or X, marketers can connect their Medium account and their X account, and then they can auto-populate content. So it's easy. They don't have to copy and paste content over. They can just hit button and they can publish their Medium story that they've put out there. Marketers don't want to have to replicate content constantly, and I think that this is something that they're able to obviously create their content on SubHub, but a lot of it is they want amplification of content that they've already created, and so they can start out on Medium. The RSS feed auto populates the content, and then they can just with one click of a button send it out there. So that's one example of reason I'm talking about that is it's something that we've set up just this week on SubHub. But yeah, SubHub is for projects, and it's for marketers who want, as I said, to be able to connect directly to their users. And so yeah, I think that uh, it's, as you can see, it's, as I said earlier, it's kind of two sides of a whole. It's the whole Web3 marketing apparatus that connects users with the projects and marketers that matter.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. So let's continue with the SubHub, and one of the most, I would say, exciting things that are coming. So you're preparing for the SubHub's token generation event, and it's already planned for the end of Q3, so around the corner, I would say. What
Yeah.
can you share about the token model and what role will the token play in the user behavior on your project uh,
Well,
adoption? So, yeah.
yeah, sorry. Yeah. So we've got multiple proposed revenue streams. We've looked at we've looked at the way that Web2 projects like Substack and Mailchimp and anything that sends out marketing, whether it's marketing emails or anything else. We've looked at these kind of revenue models, and we thought, okay, how can we do this in a Web3 way, right? And so I think, there's going to be stuff like gated content and so on and so forth. But I think for us, it's more about the 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 SubHub token itself will be used to power the read to earn, which will be for opening rates. So, if you're a user and you want to get paid, then the project has to basically use the SubHub token to be able to boost those opening rates and connect with their users. And like I said, I mean, this can be done whether it's for campaigns, or it can just be used for general mail that they want to send out. The budget is controlled by the project, and basically we SubHub will just take a certain percentage cut of the revenue that's being sent out. I think that, when I mentioned that this is something that can be a 45 billion industry by 2032, and there's a lot of appetite for this, but we are also looking at ways to give users access to premium content and so on. So maybe the user will want to pay for certain premium services as well. So yeah, there's multiple revenue streams that we've been working out, and for me, the most exciting one is the return model.
Mm. Awesome, thank you. And before moving to the, I would say, most philosophical part of this podcast, let's get back a little bit to your previous answers. And it's pretty clear that AI and automation are baked into your vision. Could you tell us how you're using these tools right now, and how far do you think that go in shaping the future of Web3 and the communication in general?
I think AI and blockchain, the synergy is going to be huge. It already is shown sign that we are building out MCP for Dmail, an AI assistant. Where I think AI especially is going to be powerful is abstracting away the difficulties in Web3. Um, People call it the grandma problem, where you have to create something that's simple enough for your grandma to use. And frankly, Web3 is not really there yet right now. Try to get a grandma to set up a wallet, an 8-year-old to set up a wallet and to understand how to operate within these different chains in Web3, and how to send how to use DeFi and so on and so forth. It's complex, and I think that AI is going to abstract away those complexities. So an example would be getting an AI assistant through an instruction, through a prompt, to send $50 on the BSC chain, to somebody, rather than having to go through all the steps and the processes, and sometimes losing money. I mean, how many people do you know that have sent money on the wrong chain, just made a simple error, and they've lost money, right, in Web3? So I think that AI can foolproof those kind of situations, because you're using natural language, you're using a prompt essentially, or even your voice to say exactly what you need. And I think that the complexities of Web3 can be abstracted away by AI. I also think that AI, especially within dApps like Gmail, um, already we're seeing it just, with obvious projects like ChatGPT and so on. But and Dmail already has an AI assistant which is baked in, where you can essentially, translate emails. You don't have to go outside of the app itself. It has this productivity suite. But I think that the AI is essentially going to be boosting user productivity. It's going to be a workstation that it's like an assistant which reminds you of meetings coming up and helps you prepare for meetings, and sends $100 on chain easily, or because of course your asset is going to be integrated into the workstation as well. And yeah, it can maybe search for airdrops and different things that people want within their mail. It can filter and search. So it's a productivity tool, I think, and we're going to see that increasingly in blockchain.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm just looking at the timing, and we discussed so much information within just 1 hour, even much less than 1 hour. So it's crazy. But thanks for setting up in order. And now zooming out, could you tell us what's the big picture? Where do you see Dmail and SubHub heading over the next 1 or 2 years? And what impact do you hope it will these platforms will give for the entire industry and a broader Web3 ecosystem?
Yeah, so our roadmaps are publicly available, and anyone can see where we're going with this. For me, it's about scaling to 100 million users to becoming the largest Web3 dApp for email and SubHub, maybe as a combined force, and essentially offering a value to both projects and users that is irrefutable. They decide, okay, this is actually cheaper than Web2 to connect with users, and I can connect with them directly through their wallets, through their DIDs. But for users, they're happy in the knowledge that they own their own data. They are getting paid for their attention. And I want to realize that vision, and for people to enjoy the platform, for marketers to make it easier to connect with users in Web3 for projects. And for the users to, maybe they make a few dollars or a few dozen dollars or even hundreds of dollars, who knows? But to make some money, on a daily basis on the platform, and to feel good about it. And I think that's really where we're going to be going. And that's in the interest of fairness and equitable distribution that I think everybody sees is not the case in Web2. So that's really what, it's you talked about a philosophical angle, and I think, that's really where I'd like this to go, where there's a lot of happy people, that instead of the revenue stream going into the hands of very few people, it's dispersed, and everybody is happy from it. And yeah, that's really where I hope this goes.
Awesome. So we'll be awaiting this nearest future to see how the things turn out. And well, as I said, the discussion is pretty insightful. So we had introduction of two projects. We had comparison with traditional Web2 systems. We had forecast. We had token generation discussions. Many things, but one is missing. This is our last traditional thing. So time to share some piece of advice with our audience, whatever you find useful, call to action, not financial or financial even advice, anything. So
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah, not financial advice, but
Of
I
course, of
think
course.
I think yeah, I think if anybody is interested in getting into the Web3 world, or is already in the Web3 world but wonders how they can become involved, I think there's a niche for everybody. You don't have to be a technically proficient. You can work your way in. You can understand and gain knowledge as time goes by. And I think that Web3 needs or storytellers. It needs people that can bridge the gap and bridge the complexities of Web 2. I think that there's a lot of technical language, and I sometimes it can be a little bit prohibitive to people who are not Web3 natives. So I think that we all need to work hard to make Web3 a welcoming space where people who have not ever known the advantages and the benefits of Web3, they are educated about it, and they understand that this can be a very beneficial thing to their lives. So yeah, that's what I would say. And I think that the other piece of advice I would say is go to dmail.ai and open up an account. And if you are a project out there that wants to connect with users, go to sub-hub.ai. That's our website. So yeah, thank you very much, Max, for the opportunity of coming on today and talking about our projects.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel, for joining in, and thanks for the great encouraging ending. So, guys, thanks for watching us till the end. Today, we've been talking about communication platforms, and so I just ask you to stay active. If you have any questions, just follow Daniel, follow SubHub, follow Dmail, Synopsis, of course. And in case of any questions, just be active, use the communication. That's what we are here for. So, and yeah, thanks for everyone once again. Daniel James, ladies and gentlemen, thumbs up to see even more episodes. And for now, that's it. Have a great day, night, whatever is in your regions. Bye bye. See you.
Thanks. Thanks, Max.